Now, Canadian lawmakers have vowed to take immediate measures to end the wave of suicides that have hit a remote Aboriginal community in the country. People there are taking their lives supposedly out of desperation at living in dire conditions. We spoke to a woman who lost her niece in this so-called suicide epidemic.
It was a new phenomena for me when I saw in September, but right away I sensed that there was going to be more. My niece passed away in October. We're still deeply shocked to this day. Like it's just so hard to believe and to accept. Sheraton, she was 13 years old. She hung herself. We were describing Sheraton as somebody outgoing and funny, and she was gentle and loving. It's not only the young girls that are trying to commit suicide, it's also older men.
Well, locals claim it's extreme poverty that's forcing people to take their own lives, and many say they live in crumbling, damp housing, often with no running water or sanitation. Social and medical services are also often restricted in the secluded communities. The overall state of life in some of them was once likened in a UN statement to third world countries. While that community has currently come to the government's attention, mass suicides had already been reported in at least 2 other First Nation groups before. Canada's Prime Minister came to power on pledges to improve the life of the Indigenous people in the country.
The constitutionally guaranteed rights of Aboriginal peoples in Canada are not an inconvenience, but rather a sacred obligation, central to what Canada is as a nation.
Well, the Canadian government has long been struggling to close the gap between Indigenous people and the rest of the country. That as 1 in 4 Aboriginal children live in poverty in some communities, half of all youngsters come from impoverished households, and unemployment is also twice that of the rest of the country, with more than 60% out of work in some areas. Despite the pledges, though, from the government, the locals don't think that their lives will improve anytime soon.
I'm a bit pessimistic if something will indeed come out. I'm hoping when there's international exposure, because Canada always says we have a human rights standing in the world, that when they see how we have to live under third world conditions. It's not easy. Like when you live in a remote, isolated community, it's extremely impoverished, and there's lack of services. You struggle just to meet your basic human needs. You don't have enough health care, like counseling or medical care. There's not enough jobs, so people they get depressed.